Hello everyone. Today I want to talk to you about a really cool theme. It's called human body systems. Let's look at those words. Here we go. We've got human body systems. All right, what are human body systems? Well, let's break down those three words together, right? Human body systems. Human, we know what that is, right? People. I'm a human. You're a human, probably. Maybe you're an alien. Yeah, we're humans. Means people. Body. Our body is, our arms, our legs, our brains, all of the body parts together. And systems. That's probably the most important or most unique word here in this theme. Human body systems. Now, a system means many different parts that are working together to do something. All right. So, we've talked in the past about, skateboards. A skateboard is a system. Right? It needs the flat deck where you stand. It needs wheels. It needs the metal trucks that hold the wheels. It needs all of those parts together. A car is a system. A car is a system. It needs many different parts. It needs doors, and it needs a window, and it needs a steering wheel. It needs a battery. It needs tires. It needs all of those different things together, working together to work. Right? And if we take away something from that system, then it stops working. Right? Like if we take away the wheels from a skateboard, it's not a skateboard anymore, right? It won't get you around like a skateboard. Now, in the human body, we have many different systems. We can think of our whole body all together as one system, but that's kind of complicated because we have so many different parts in our body. So it's sometimes nicer to break our body down into different areas, different systems. And so today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about one of the human body systems. So the part that we're going to talk about today is called the skeletal muscular system. And let's look at, before we get into that, let's look at some words here. I've got a bunch of words here. These are all different parts of the body. Obviously, this is not all of our body. We've got a lot more parts than this. These are just some of the bits of our body. So here we go. Let's lay them out. Here we go. Kind of mix them up. There we go. All right, got a bunch of body parts here, part of our human body system. We've got, let's look through here, we've got our heart, we've got nerves, muscles, veins, bones, lungs, tendons, and a brain. Now, like I said, there's a lot of different parts of our body, but these are just some of the things that we're going to be talking about in our videos or for our LT online videos. So the ones that I want us to look for today are the ones that are part of the skeletal muscular system. Right? And so for those ones, those are going to be, a lot of them are going to be blue. Some of them are going to be blue. So we need to collect the blue ones, and then we're also going to collect the purple ones. So let's see here. Our heart. Our heart is not part of the skeletal muscular system. So let's put that over here. Now muscles. Skeletal muscular system. So now muscles are part of that. So let's keep this one out here. Nerves. We're going to keep nerves out here. I'll explain it in a second. What about lungs? Lungs are what we breathe with. That's actually not part of our skeletal muscular system. So let's move it over here. Veins are help us move our blood around. That's actually not part of our skeletal muscular system, so let's move that over here. So now we're left with just these blue and purple colors. Now, the reason why these two are purple is because for both of the different systems that we're going to talk about in our videos, both of these are used, or these are used in both systems. So, here I put the skeletal muscular system as the three main parts as blue. For the other system that we're going to talk about in another video, I put those as sort of a pinkish reddish color. And these two are shared by both system, the skeletal muscular system and the other system. And I put them as purple. Do you know why I put them as purple? Can you think about why? If this system was blue and this system was sort of a pinkish red, do you know why I put this one as purple? Because if you mix these together, this color over here, this sort of pink color and a blue, do you know what you get? Purple. right? So because these ones are for both colors, I mixed it together to get that purple color. So let's look at these different parts. Okay, obviously we have our brain, we have nerves, muscles, bones, tendons. All right, let's look at those different things. Now the brain, we can find that inside our head, right? And the brain is what gives our instructions to our body. It's where all of our thoughts come from. When you say, I want to pick up my arm, that idea of picking up your arm starts in your brain, and then it works its way down your body into your arm where your muscles do the work. Now, how does that message get there, right? You come up with that idea in your head. How does that idea get to your arm? Well, it sends that idea down through the nerves. Nerves are kind of like, sort of like telephone wires, sort of, where, you pick up a phone over here and you say, hello, and then that message, your voice goes down through those wires over here to this other phone where they can get the message, right? Your nerves are like wires that run through your body that let the ideas move from one place to another. All right, so that's our brain and our nerves. Let's look at the next part. Muscles, bones, and tendons. Muscles, bones, and tendons. Let's start with bones. They're the most basic ones, and then we'll build from there. So here I have a picture. Let's move that off to the side. I have a picture of an arm bone. We can see a lot of different parts here. There's a big long bone up here. That's the top of your arm, from your shoulder down to your elbow. Your forearm here, from your elbow to your wrist, is actually made up of two bones that work next to each other, and that allows your arm to twist like this, having two bones together. Then, in your hand, you've got a lot of bones, tons of bones in your hands, in your wrist, lots working together. And that's one of the reasons why we have to be really careful when we're doing things like skateboarding or riding a scooter, and why you'll see people who wear wrist guards. It's like a protection for your wrist because there's so many bones in there. If you fall down and catch yourself with your wrist, you could maybe easily break one of those bones, which would be very uncomfortable. So all right, so bones, here we go. A lot of bones in our arm, sort of made up of mostly, basically three bones, and then lots of bones down here in our hands and our fingers. All right, so that's bones. Now let's talk about muscles. Muscles. And while we're talking about muscles, let's talk about tendons at the same time. So I'm going to put this picture away, this bony arm, skeleton arm. I'm going to bring out this arm here. So now this is showing the muscles that are on top of the bones. So we can't really see. The bones are sort of hidden underneath these muscles, kind of like that. It's underneath those muscles. So now the muscles are really amazing. Muscles have really just one job to do. They can either squeeze really, really tight, or they can relax. That's what we can do. Everything we do when we're moving our body, what all of those movements are different muscles squeezing or relaxing. Right? If I want to bring my arm up like this, I have to squeeze this muscle right here on the top of my arm. When I squeeze that muscle, it pulls my arm forwards, and that muscle gets a little bit squeezed and a little bit like bigger together, like that, like tighter together. And then when I want to put my arm down, I let this muscle relax, and then the arm goes down. Right? Now, if I wanted to push away from me, so I wanted to pull my arm that direction, that's this muscle down here. As I squeeze that muscle, my arm will push away from me. Right? So here you can see there's a lot of different muscles. Here's a big part of the shoulder muscle. Got a lot of a bicep here in the front. That's this one, and a tricep back here. Muscles in the forearms. Some muscles that are close around your hand, but not on your fingers. Your fingers actually don't have any muscles in them. All of the control for your fingers comes from your wrist and your forearms. So okay, now tendons. We know what muscles are then. These red ones that are here. What are tendons? What are tendons? Well, tendons are, if you look very carefully, you can see these kind of sort of white colored sort of strings. It looks a little bit like a white string. Now, tendons actually are very much like strings. They are ways where the muscle can connect to the bones. Right? It's how the muscles can sort of hold on to the bones. And while muscles can stretch and squeeze and relax and be controlled to squeeze and relax. Tendons can't. Tendons are just sort of a hard, they're not very stretchy. Although we can make them a little more flexible by exercising every day and stretching. We can help our tendons be a little more relaxed and a little bit longer. But tendons by themselves are not very stretchy like muscles are. So now the muscles and the bones work together to help us move. If we didn't have bones, the muscles would just squeeze and we would just be like a big squishy blob, just squeezed together like a big ball, right? The bones give us our shape and they allow the muscles to have something to pull onto, right? To pull up. Now, I made a model that will help you understand this. Move these out of the way just a little bit. We can put these things here like that. Brain, nerves, muscles, bones, tendons. I made a model right over here that I think can help you understand a little bit how an arm works. So here is my model of an arm. Now, up here in pink, I put the muscle right across the top. And what do you think these hard parts are? Right here, they're made out of popsicle sticks. What do you think these hard parts represent? Do you think they represent muscles or bones? They're hard, they don't bend. Who thinks it's bones? Raise your hand if you think it's bones. Raise your hand if you think it's muscles. I hope you raised your hand for bones because it was definitely bones. These hard parts here are the bones. All right, now, here you can imagine this squishy part up here as being the muscle, and if this muscle squeezes tight and pulls this direction, like this, what's going to happen to the arm? If it pulls right here, it's going to pull that arm up. And then, if this relaxes, the arm can fall back down again. So, all right. Now, I made this model with some electronics. Here we have, this is called an Arduino. It's like a little brain, like a little computer brain. And, I can program in some instructions into this Arduino, and then once we turn it on, it'll do those instructions, just like our brain, right? Our brain has some instructions inside it, and we use those to do different things. Now, the wires, all these different wires here, these are kind of like our nerves, right? They're sending ideas, sending information between the brain and the arm. Do you see these here, right here? This is this little motor that's going to help control this. Those have some wires running over here to the brain. So those wires are like the nerves. They're like the nerves that are going to help. So we've got the brain here. We've got the nerves. We've got the bones. We've got the muscles. The tendons we can think of as the places where, like maybe this string, this sort of white string, where the places where the muscle connects to the bones. That would be the tendons. So all right, let's take a look at this. Here we go. So if the brain over here sends a signal to this arm and says, can you wave your hand? Then this is what would happen. See, we can see. Now, do you see that as it goes up, the muscle starts to squeeze and it looks like it gets bigger, right? But really it's squeezing tighter this way. And that's why it's getting a little bit taller in the middle, just like a bicep muscle on your arm, right? When you squeeze it, it gets a little bit bigger. So we can see as the brain sends information, we can wave our arm just like that. Hello. All right. So you can see this model really helps you understand, how the string has to pull on to the body part. Now, if I put this up with my hand, you can see I put another string down here. Let's just pretend that that's held tight like that. There's another string down here. Now that would be where the tricep is, the muscle that's on the back of your arm. Right? And if we wanted to push really hard against my hand, we could pull down using the muscle that's on the bottom of your arm and push like that. But so I think you can understand when you look at this model, there's different parts and that most importantly, the muscles and the bones have to work together, and the tendons as well, to help connect the muscles. If there were no bones, then we wouldn't have any shape. We wouldn't look like people. We would just be a sort of a messy blob. And every time our muscles squeezed, we would just squeeze into a smaller ball, but we wouldn't be able to move around. And if we had no muscles, our bones wouldn't be able to move. We would just be like, if you took a skeleton and you stood it up and then you let go, the bones would just fall down on the ground because there's nothing holding them in the right place. Right? It takes muscles and bones working together to move. So that's why we call it a system. Right? Many different parts working together. Now, like I said, we also have the brain and the nerves. Those are very important too. And that's why, every once in a while, if something happens, sometimes people can get into an accident, or if they're not wearing their helmet, or if they are not wearing a seatbelt or something like that. Sometimes people can get into an accident, and if that happens, they can their nerves can sort of get cut a little bit. And that if the nerves get cut, like this, for example, where now the nerves are no longer connected to the brain, then the problem is that no matter what the brain is saying, if I give instructions, then nothing can happen, right? Because the information can't get through. So that's another reason why we have to be, really careful with things like riding bikes, and make sure we're always wearing a helmet, make sure we're staying safe like that. So let me plug our nerves back in. This is nice. On this model, we can just connect our nerves back up. But in real life, if your nerves are cut, it's not as easy as just plugging it back in. On this model, it's very easy. We can fix it and everything's okay. But in real life, you have to take care of your nerves and your bones and your muscles. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me scoot this stuff out of the way. For this first human body system, right, we were learning about the skeletal muscular system. That's the skeleton and the muscles working together. The parts that we discussed today were the brain, where the ideas come from, where the information comes from, the nerves that help send the information to the different parts of your body, the muscles that can squeeze or relax, the bones that the muscles can pull onto, and the tendons that help connect the muscles to the bones. So now, while you're sitting at your house, you can jump, you can move around, and feel your muscles moving. You can squeeze your muscles through your body, and you can feel, as I pick something up, I can feel my muscle getting hard because it's squeezing together and it's getting tighter, right? So that's very fun and very easy to experience for yourself. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.